All right, back from lunch. Let's draw the footing step detail. Just a reminder, there is where the house footing is. It ends at this line. The retaining wall footing is over here in this area, and it's stepped down. It is stepped down. Goodbye. It is stepped down to allow soil to sit on top so that plants can grow, like that. So 18 on 3-1 was the detail. Let's see which way the detail's looking. Okay, it's going to have the house, the thicker house foundation on the left. Oh, I was going to see if there's the geo report and see if there's a minimum thickness in the geotech report. Grade beams should be reinforced with blah, 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 blah. The final design of the foundation must be performed by a qualified structural engineer. Okay, that's me. I don't see a minimum thickness for the footings. Then how big should the grade beams be? Well, they have to be big enough that they have to be at least as wide as the tops of the piles, and they have to be big enough that a cage of bars can be bent and fit inside of them. I think what's going to happen with this project is that I'm going to downsize these footings, these piers, to 18 inches. Well, let's proceed with the detail for now. I'll have to do a foundation design. I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself, detailing this before I have a proper foundation design done. But let's go ahead with the CAD drawing example, even if I have to come back and adjust the detail. Whatever, the show must go on. So, on the left side was the high foundation. My guess is that this is actually going to end up being 18 inches thick. So that means the high and the low foundation will be 18 inches thick. So we do like this. We go, I started, that was a, sorry, slow down. PL for polyline. And I just start here, and I want right angle lines, so I tap F8 for ortho mode. Draw some arbitrary distance, click, and now I want to come down by the thickness of the footing, 18 inches. 1/8, enter. Right, so the program gave me an 18-inch long piece of line, and then I just come back some arbitrary distance like that. And now I'm done for now with that footing. So I just hit escape, and that lets the program know to not draw any more of the polyline. Now the other footing that meets up with it is going to be similar, so I highlight this, I type MI for mirror, enter. I have to pick draw a line to mirror about. So I'll just draw like this, here and here, like that. See how the dashed line, it indicates, see I can mirror, if I turn off ortho, I can mirror about any line that I draw. But I'm going to use ortho, and I'll do it like this, click. And then erase source object, no, I don't want it to delete the original, so no, okay. Now I've got the two footing edges, and we know that they butt up against each other, and I do want them to be connected. So, I also know from this detail that I'm leaving a 1'6" vertical distance from the top of the soil down to the top of the retaining wall footing. And let's look at the house footing elevation by looking at the architectural plan. Look at a section through here, 2 on A10. That section is cutting through the house in about the same area that I'm querying. And what do I see? That's the deck. We're not talking about that. We're talking about this footing right here. Okay, this is the one that we're going to be connecting to our retaining wall footing. And so I noticed that The bottom of this footing is let's do this. What if I do this? I draw this like a rectangle representing this footing, right? And I draw a line right there. And where the line crosses the footing, that's where the grade line, this purple line, intersects the footing, okay? So let's take this. I'm going to copy and paste this and take it over to my detail over here. Over here. I know this is kind of tricky to follow, but this is showing me that the house footing. Did that guy draw the? Did he draw that 24 inches thick? He did. Okay, that was his assumption. I'm the engineer, so maybe I don't agree the footing needs to be 24 inches thick. But so, oh, here we go. Here's the thing to do. So there's the grade level where it meets the house foundation. I think the house foundation, let's explode this. I think the house foundation is actually going to be 18 inches thick. So what I did was sorry, I keep flying through stuff. I highlighted this rectangle and I typed X for explode. I hit enter and that blows the rectangle up into 4 separate lines. I then highlight this O for offset, 18 inches, right? And now I delete this. This is showing me where the grade line will be. Remember, it was right about this level relative to the bottom of my 18-inch deep house footing. So this is indicating that the soil, if the soil is ever below the bottom of the footing, that means the footing is getting undermined. So I think what will happen is, it'll be more like this. The 18 inches will be down like that. Let's copy and paste that. All right, so there's the 18-inch footing. I'll just verify that by measuring it. 1 foot 6 and 5/16. That's not 1 foot 6. Drawing a polyline, and I'm specifying the length as 18 inches, which is 1 foot 6. I hit enter, and then enter again, and it shows me the depth of the footing. So I'm going to highlight this, and O-snap is helping me to grab the control point on this midpoint of the footing and pull it up to the end of the 18-inch long line. And I delete the drawing aid. Now let's measure again. Okay, 18-inch thick, right? It said 1 foot 6, which is 18 inches. And then it shows the grade line. Again, I know this is hard to follow, but so watch this. I take this up here, this drawing aid that I'm using, and I place it right there. Right there. So what this is now showing is the elevation of the house footing, and it's showing the elevation of my retaining wall footing, which is down here. Okay, that's a significant difference. And what it reflects is the fact that I have pushed the retaining wall footing down to allow there to be soil on top of it so that plants could be planted here. Okay, but what it means is, and then I'm going to copy this. This is just the reckoning we have to do sometimes to draw the geometries of things. Sometimes it takes some very deliberate thought. Okay, I will copy and paste these things over here. Let's go back and clean this junk out of my drawing. Okay. So this is the relative height difference of the two footings. And there's the grade level. Okay, the lower footing is the retaining wall. So I'm going to take this over near detail 18. If this feels overwhelming, don't worry. Most drafting does not take quite this much reckoning. So I remember that the left-hand footing of this image was the house footing, right, which is higher. So what I can do is I can inclusive select. I have O-snap on with F3. I move this. I typed here, M for move, enter. I grab that end and I move it over here and I lock it to the house footing image. So, and then I grab this one, highlight, M for move, grab the corner, and I bring it over here. So what I've just done is I've copied the relative elevations of these two footings, okay? And now I type M for move, enter, and bring them over here into the detail. These two footings are now at the right elevations. They're not in the right place relative to each other, okay? Where they really need to be is butted up against each other, like that. Now this, what I've just done is imprecise. They're not, see they're not totally aligned with it. They're not butted up. See how they overlap? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a polyline, PL, right? PL, polyline. And I'm going to draw this line up. And I want to turn off O-snap so this kind of twitchy stuff doesn't happen. O-snap off. And I just stop that line like that. And now I highlight this. O-snap needs to be back on. And I type M for move, and I grab this corner and move it over here. So now these things are horizontally aligned with each other, and vertically their elevations are correct based on the analysis that I did earlier. That goes over there. Did you see right there how O-snap twitched around, right? I had it on and it tried to, I'm just trying to move these things out of the way, and it's trying to snap to the edge of this line right here, and I don't want that, right? See how it twitches like that? That's why we turn off O-snap when we're not using it. Okay, so back to my image here. We've got this the house footing and then the retaining wall footing, which is lower, and we need to make a step so that the two parts of the footing are connected to each other. I'm going to extend the footing lines out, EX for extend, and then I'll highlight this as my extension boundary, EX to extend. All right, and now we need to figure out some structurally sensical way to connect these two. What we could do is, I think we should do this. Let's extend this footing over to the left about 18 inches. All right, so I'm going to do this. I highlight it. I grab the middle control handle right there. That blue thing is, that blue like bump is the middle control handle. I grab it, click. Notice I have ortho on. Okay. And then I've grabbed it, I've indicated to AutoCAD I want to move it in this direction, and I want to move it 18 inches, so I type 18, enter. Okay, now watch this, polyline, enter to make another polyline, right, like that, trim, right, trim, right, great. So now these two, I've got this is connected, okay. What the contractor may do is like they tend to pour the concrete in chunks. So what's going to happen is they'll have this and this, and then there's going to be what's called a cold joint. I'm using spline now to draw a rough, like a roughened concrete edge that represents the control joint. This is where the contractor will probably do one concrete pour. Did you notice how I popped on O-snap real fast there and then popped it off? Right, and I'm going to copy this with CO, and I want to grab that corner, right? Boom, bring that down. These are control joints. Now I delete the guideline, and what we can see here is just, oops, trim, TR, enter, there, okay. Jeez Louise. Polyline, O-snap. Over here like this. There's my footing. Okay, good. So these are control joints. The contractor's probably going to pour the footing. He'll probably only have one control joint. So he'll pour this bottom part first. There will be like a roughened surface here, and then where the concrete just naturally forms in some kind of rough shape. That patch of concrete will dry, and then later the contractor will come and do another pour, I think, and pour the second concrete on top of the retaining wall footing. Okay, let's put in some break lines here. So I'll go to one of my other details, look for a good sized break line like that one, copy, Control C, come over here and paste. Did you see how it tried to O-snap flutter, right? I hit F3 and turn that off. I'll put my brake line here. I like this, the little lightning bolt in the brake line, to be centered between these two lines. Right? I would not have my brake line be like down here. I want that to be centered. And then I highlight this, TR for trim. I'm using that as the trim edge, and then I cut the footing off beyond that. Highlight this, Control C, Control V. Right, place that, TR for trim, cut like that. So recenter the detail, highlight it, M for move, enter, click. See, I want to maybe move it down a little bit, but ortho is on. It's not letting me move it diagonally. So F8 to turn that off, and now I can position the detail freely. Click to drop it. This has been a bit of work. Let's save this. Should have saved a few minutes ago, actually. All right, so now we need the soil. Right, because we know that underneath retaining walls underneath foundations is soil. Right, we put the soil, we don't need this top of soil surface, because that's just going to be the same as the bottom of the footing. The line for the bottom of the footing will define the top of the soil. Right, and let's bring this in here. And I want to do that, right? See, now the soil is intruding into the footing. Right, so what I'm going to do is undo, Control Z, highlight this, and grab this handle, and now I'm going to use ortho, F8. See, and now no matter where I slide it, it's not intruding in, the soil pattern is not intruding into the footing. Okay, and we'll bring this down like that. I can stay up there, and then we need to add a vertex, right? But that adds the vertex in the wrong place. I want to draw the soil going under this. So how about up here? I'm just hovering the mouse over this control point. That's it. I'm not clicking anything. Just hover it. AutoCAD senses I want to do something, so it offers me options. Add vertex. Place a vertex down here. Same process. Add vertex. I place a vertex over here. Again, add vertex. Oops. Control Z. Right. Hover this. Add vertex. Just like that. Right, so now I've made it clear that these things are sitting on soil. Okay, now let's, we can do a concrete fill, because these are foundations. So I clicked up here on the fill, or the hatch. Hatch, fill, fills an enclosed area, okay, with a hatch pattern. So hatch, click in the area to be hatched. AutoCAD's thinking, it's got to figure out what area I'm talking about. There we go, it figured it out. Now I click on that, and I need to change this to AR concrete. Like that. Good. Okay, let's save this work. Cool, looking good. Now, both of these footings are going to have rebar in them. So we can go over here and we can grab some, let's grab some bars. Copy, paste. Right. Somewhere like, it's going to look something like that, with this being trimmed off. TR for trim, highlight this, delete it, right? We're gonna have some bars in the footings like that, right? And down here too. TR for trim, shave that off, highlight that, delete it, right? So now we've got bars in the footings. Notice that the concrete hatch is on top of the rebar. We don't want to indicate concrete and rebar literally in the same spot, because where the rebar go, the concrete will not. So I'm going to click on this hatch. If I click just in empty space here, I don't get the hatch, right? I have to click on a line that belongs to the hatch, and then that selects the hatch. I will now right click anywhere and select Draw Order, Send to Back. Now it looks like that didn't do anything, but in fact it did send the concrete pattern behind the rebar. I type regen, R-E-G-E-N, to tell the drawing to reload. Rethink this, enter. That's right, get the order right, there you go. Now the concrete is hiding behind the bars. Okay. Also, footing rebar they have to have 3-inch clear cover. They need to be protected by 3 inches of concrete so they don't rust due to moisture in the soil. So what I do is I click on this footing line and I type O for offset, enter, 3 inches is the offset distance. And you can see that that line offset this much. There's the line. It went into the footing, into the rebar. So I'll hold shift and select is deselect, right? If you hold shift and then you select something, it deselects it. And now with M, I'll move this up. Let's use ortho so I don't mess up the positioning I already have of this. I just want to move this up so that now that line, which is 3 inches off the bottom of the footing, is flush, right? It's up against the bottom of the rebar. So now I know if I measure up here the distance from the bottom of the bar, not the center, the bottom of the bar, to the bottom of the footing, it's 3 inches. I also want there to be, let's say, will there be soil here? Yes, in fact, because there could be, because I said that that was to be a planter. Here, let's get a neater soil bit from a nearby detail. Copy, paste, and then there was to be 18 inches of soil there. Okay, so I grabbed that line, the top of the footing, offset, 18, enter, and this is now showing me what 18 inches above that footing looks like, because that's how much soil I wanted there to be on top of it for planting. Right, I'm going to adjust these lines so that they're not like in the footing. Right, and then I can delete that. That's just a drawing line. Control Z, let's put it back. Now we do have a top of soil surface that is not defined by anything like the bottom of the footing. So let's leave that line there and change that to layer S pattern 251 so it can be gray like the soil fill. Right, so there, now we're showing, right, we're showing the footings. And by the way, this is an elevation, okay, which means down is that way. Okay, down is like this. The earth, the center of the earth is here. It's down there. Okay. Plants would grow like this. Right, like that. Right, and then a root ball that I'm not going to draw. So there would be a plant, hypothetical plant. Anyway, we don't need that. Go away. Okay, so we've got the, we need to do the same process, make sure that this bar has 3-inch clear cover to the bottom. And I'm going to do a slightly different process this way to show you an alternative way to do this. I'm going to draw a square REC for rectangle. And then I start a first corner point here, click. And I'm going to tell it the first side I want to be 3 inches. Now I hit the tab key, and I want the second, the other orthogonal side to be 3 inches, 3 and 3, enter. And now I can grab this, M for move, O, see it's not snapping to a corner, I need O snap on, F3 O snap, right, and now I move this here. See, I wasn't too far off of 3 inches, but this square is showing me a distance of 3 inches clear from the bottom of the footing. It's also showing me 3 inches clear to the soil on the side of the footing, right? So I can highlight this bar now, and I can type M, enter, and I can move this and set it right there, 3 inches from the side, 3 inches from the bottom. And then I have to go trim it over here, or extend, EX for extend over there. Should there be another bar right here? Let's see. Highlight this, copy, select base point in line with this bar, and then I don't want to do this, right? So we use ortho. I move this over to mimic the spacing, right? It's going to be even spacing. So I'm showing go same distance over like this. And what we see is that the bar is a bit off. It's kind of off the break line. So I'll just hit escape and leave that alone. I'm not going to draw a bar that's out of the break line. All right, and let's check this 3 inches. O for offset, enter, 3 inches in. Not quite 3 inches. Okay, so we'll do, let's do this. Highlight this bar and the attached bars, M for move, and then move it over like that. And then delete the drawing guide. Okay? Now let's take a look at the image of the plan. Okay? Here is the house footing and the lower retaining wall footing. I have not drawn any vertical bars tying these two things together. Maybe it's not necessary. Maybe the piles will hold them together. let's look like this. Look here, we can see a pile that is like on the edge, right? So what we need to do is go and we need to draw that. Now, where is that edge? That line that I had just indicated, that line, that diagonal line, is actually this line. Explode this. That line is this line. So rejoin these. So fillet, 0 radius. I'm not trying to make a curve. F, enter for fillet. This line joins to this line. Okay. So so that line is what was on plan. And then we have another line now that's 18 inches offset. So let's go draw that on the plan, right? I'm going to click on this and type O, enter, offset. And it needs to go, was it to the left? Yeah, it was to the left, like that. Okay, let's trim that off. Trim is not working because the foundation is part of a block. So I'll just manually move this. Use O-snap right there, right? And then this, can extend work? No. Okay, I'll draw a temporary guideline right there, right? Oops, come on, ortho. O-snap overpowered ortho right there. I don't know if you have quick enough eyes to see that. There, okay. Guideline, extend to there, that. Delete the guideline, boom. All right, and then we'll draw our, bring our footing call out further out. Okay, now see how this significantly overshoots that line? Watch what happens when I go look at this on plan. See how it's sticking out on the back like that? It's not neat, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that a little bit so that the symbol looks like this, just like a clean L. That's how it should look. So what I did is I extended my detail call out to include that whole step right there. That, right, from this line to this line, let's go over to 18 on 3-1, is from this line to this line, okay? And now I need some bars. I go into tools, let's use, I'll just say number 5 bars. This is the engineer talking, right? I'll grab that, it's got a 90-degree hook in it. Okay, I'll rotate it. I want to rotate it 90 degrees. So I could type -90 to go counterclockwise, and then I move with MO. Whoops, see, what's that? Think, what is this? What's happening? Why can't I move it? Right, ortho, turn off ortho. Right, and I want some bar to go like, let's just say like this. Might as well, if we're going to put a bar there, we might as well have it come up high on the top of a footing. That's not where the soil is, so it can have 1.5 inches of clear cover. Right, that was the offset command I used to make this line. Now I'm deleting it. I just used it as a drawing guide. Right, I used M for move to move this bar up to that 1.5 inches clear. It's 3 inches clear cover to soil, 1.5 inches clear to atmosphere. And then I want this to come down, and we need the hook so that the bar can anchor. So let's say I turn this 180 degrees. RO, enter, until it's rotate about this place. There, click, and I type 180, enter. Okay, M for move, and I'm going to bring this here and have this hook sitting right there. Okay, like that. See how these are offset from each other? I'm going to align this. This is probably perfectionism, but I like things to be really cleanly drawn like that. Right, so now it looks like one double hooked bar. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll make a copy of that. Let's make a block so that these things don't come apart. Like I don't have to deal with them as separate objects. So I click Insert, Create Block, and then it wants a name here. I just pound the keyboard, and then I hit OK, and then it says, where's the insertion base point? Whatever, it doesn't matter, just click somewhere near the object. So now this thing acts as one object, okay, and I can grab it and move it around like that. So let's do here, that's against soil, so we're going to go 3-inch, O, enter, 3. Right, the offset line is there, you just can't see. If I zoom in, it's right there, okay? So I'm going to bring my my bent bar in like that. So it's 3 inches from there to the soil to protect the bar against corrosion. Delete the drawing aid. And I just accidentally hid one of my bars back there, so let's bring that there so it can be seen. Okay, now we've got some bars connecting these two together. Uh-oh, extend this, EX, and then also these bars, they're actually going to be top bars too. Offset. Let's look at this. This is, let's see, is this a grade beam? I think it is. What is it over here? This is so locked up by piles, I'm not going to make them put closed ties in. Closed ties are, they are hoops like this. Like square hula hoops or round hula hoops of rebar that are put into a footing to make it strong, into a concrete beam to make it stronger. I do not judge that that is necessary in this case. So, where's my detail? So I won't need those. Do we want top bars in the house footing? Yes. And those top bars need to be 1.5 inches clear. And so watch this. I move these bars up to 1.5 inches clear. And now my hooks disappeared somewhat into the bars. Okay, I need to fix that because I need it to be really clear to the contractor that there are hooks there. So what I'm going to do is right click on this block, edit block in place, okay? And I'm going to bring this hook down a little bit just so the contractor can see that it's there. And then here, I want this is from the upside down hook. Let's bring that down like that so it disappears again. Save changes, okay. And guess what? It changed the other one too. But not enough because that bar, this bar is caught inside that one, and in real life bars never overlap. So let's try this again. Edit block in place, bring this down like that, fix that, save changes, pow. I think it's almost time to wrap up this video. There we go. Okay, now the hooks are evident again. We don't need you, you're outside the break line, and trim, TR. Poof, cut that off. Okay, making some progress. There's soil here. Like this bar is not up against soil, but it's kind of not real far from soil. So let's do offset 3 inches and pull this bar back in to there to 3 inches clear. Delete. Okay, there we go. Now we're making good progress on this footing detail. The next thing to do will be to copy in the pile. So we'll have to make room for it because it's going to be under here. Let's grab a pile image. Oops, not that. And I grab the dowels that come out of the top of the pile and their hooks. And its hooks. CO for copy, enter, click here. Anywhere, and then just move it. I'm not moving it, I'm copying it. Now where do we want the pile? Here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this a group. So highlight this, and then go to Home, click on Group, like that. And so now that AutoCAD made that into a single object that I can move around easily. So I don't get the lines of the pile mixed in with the lines of the foundation and then have to pick them apart. Okay, so where would I want the pile? Where would it make sense structurally? Like to be under a thing like this where there's some like substance to the concrete under there and then I can anchor in? Or would it make sense to have the pile be like up here? Or would it make sense to have the pile be halfway across the line because that's what's currently shown on the plan. Rather, what's currently shown on the plan is the pile being halfway across that line like that. Okay, that looks kind of awkward to me. Here's what's on the current plan. See, the pile is straddling that line. I guess we could do that. It seems kind of awkward. I think most engineers would put the pile right there. Yeah, I think that's how they would do it. Let's neaten this up a little bit. M for move that like that, okay? So now we need to do some cleanup stuff. We need to get the soil hatch out of there, and we can do that by using trim. I will turn off group action for right now, just by clicking this. I'm not ungrouping those things, I'm just turning off the group behavior. This and this, TR for trim, and I trim the soil. Oops, what? Here, let's try again. Trim between these two lines, and I trim the soil hatch out of there. Very good. And then I've got my dowels. We're not going to have the dowels come to some arbitrary place like a couple inches above the cold joint, or also called the construction joint. I don't even need that. Let's just have it like this and this. All right, and let's bring these hooked bars down to, I'll just say 2 inches below the cold joint. I just drew a polyline 2 inches long to show me where 2 inches was. And I'm going to move these up so they're about 2 inches down from the cold joint, and then I'll delete my drawing aid like that. Right, and then trim, because those dowels are not going to go below the break line. I mean, they will go below the break line, but we don't draw below the break line. Okay, so there are the dowels. The hooks on these dowels are going to be, I go over to my rebar bend schedule. The length of the hook on a 90-degree bend is LEXT, beyond the radius, beyond the curve. LEXT is equal to 12 times the diameter of the bar. Saying these are number 5 bars, what's 12 inches times 5/8? You're right, 7.5. So we want a 7.5 inch hook beyond the bend. So I can draw a line like that, and then I can use offset. Offset O 7.5, enter, and it shows me where 7.5 inches. It's right there. I don't want the contractor to make these tiny short hooks and then tell me, oh, you drew, I didn't make proper full length hooks because you drew short ones, so I just built it like you said. So this is why I'm going to draw to scale. And then let's rotate this with mirror. We'll mirror it. Yes, erase the source object. All right, and now this hook is barely visible, so let's bring it down a little bit to make it clear it's there. Right, and then here are these 2 lines that are 7.5 inches apart. Put those there. This is just a drawing guide. Stop it. Right, and then extend that out 7.5 inches. So there are the proper hook lengths. Why did I turn this bar around? Because if I hadn't, the hook would be pointing over there to the back of the footing. Maybe not all the way out the back, but it certainly would not have 3 inches of clear cover over the bars, protecting the bars. Look at this. That's messy. That's not supposed to be there. Move this up. Like that. Goodbye. And guess what? When you change one block, all the other copies of that block change, so it's fixed over here. Here we've got bar conflicts. Just put this here like that. All right. So there's more to specify about this. The next thing is to start putting in, well, let's see, did we get all the physical elements drawn? Let's go back and look at the plan. Here. I got a pile there. It looks like there's some kind of, is this a rail? It looks like there's a balcony, like railing that's going to go there. Okay, and it's, how far off is it from the, it looks like it's just off from the that edge, 1.5 inches away from the edge. Let's go back to this, 18 on 3-1. Now I'm going to take a little nap, I'm getting tired. We have to just imagine how the guardrail will go. So I'll just draw a rectangle 1.5 inches by 12. I'll put it here, and then it's going to be 1.5 inches off. So I'm drawing just a drawing aid offset 1.5 inches in. So that's the 1.5 inches from the edge of the footing that I had measured on plan. Delete, right? And so now we're just thinking about like how's the guardrail going to work, right? Is it going to embed in the concrete right there? That's pretty close edge distance, right? So that might be a coordination issue with the architect. What the exact stanchion hole will look like for the balcony, and how the balcony edge will go relative to the edge of the footing. Right? It's a coordination issue. Okay, I'm freaking tired. I'm going to save this and then get the video uploading and be back in a bit.